You're welcome. And welcome to the men's first panel discussion. We're here in the men's cave in an undisclosed area where only men lay and men stay. I'm your wonderful and privileged co-host, Leonard Cave. To my left, present yourself, my guy.
Oscar, Spearman, Camejo. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. You're going to have a great time.
And to my right,
right here, Chef Jamal, Leroy Bell, coming at you tonight. We're going to have some good conversation tonight.
We shall. Gentlemen, how are we feeling today, man? From a scale of 1 to 10, how are we feeling? Bad as 1, beautiful 10.
I'm feeling wonderful, so it's going to be
That's
very
always
good tonight.
very good 10. That's what's up. How about yourself?
I'm about at a 8.763. Right.
The Pythagorean theory.
That's right, man. Breaking it down.
I hear that. Well, I'm definitely feeling like a good, strong 8. Past couple of weeks, I had a passing in the family. It was one of my uncle, my dad's youngest brother, passed away with cancer, kidney cancer. So please, people, do not be afraid to get checked out. It's important to get checked out. I don't care how well you are hitting the gym. I don't care how often you're juicing. I just don't care about that. Make sure you get checked out by your doctor. It's very, very important, especially when it comes down to men's health. Mm-hmm. I know how we feel about the colonoscopy.
Right. Right.
It's funny. I just had a conversation with my brother about that. The one that just got married, my older brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, I just got one. I said, what's the experience? Well, I had that and the prostate. I said,
Oh, the double whammy.
Oh, yeah. But he said it's necessary, especially, us
Right.
to that age. So
Right.
it's good that you're speaking about it right now. We spoke about it, so now that's another sign for the universe to go ahead and get that taken care of.
Right. Exactly.
It's important to get checked up, man, because I think, as men, whether it's macho, whether it's ego, whether it's whatever, as much as we take great pride in, hitting the gym, lifting the weights, heavy on the protein, low on the carbs, I think sometimes we forget that even just a basic checkup is very necessary and is very important for us to, take care of ourselves, because if we can't take care of ourselves, who can we take care of in the future?
Right.
So that's really one of the key things that I just want to make sure that everybody understands, both women as well. Yes, y'all getting your IG bodies ready, but if internally, if it's not there, you won't go nowhere. Trust me. That's really dangeress. And
because health is important even in relationships.
Ooh,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk to me about that. Because that's a good point.
Right. Because let's say you're starting to date someone, and or you're in a significant relationship, and you have health challenges. And she may want to go hiking or bike riding,
right?
And that's not taken away from anybody who enjoys activity and active sports and just active lifestyle. But you want to be able to enjoy that time with that significant other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if it's going for a walk.
Yeah.
And if it's hard for you, going up and down steps. You
Right.
know what I mean? And it may not be an actual problem with your health. It's just being either overweight,
right,
or just not eating healthy foods and so forth. So you want to be in your best of health, and so you can enjoy the relationship and vice versa. That goes for men and women.
Yeah, no, that's real true. One thing that I definitely made sure I did when I was with my pops was definitely do morning walks.
Right.
There was no gym that was accessible, but just the basic walks.
Right.
Was very beneficial, getting fresh air and, just walking we started from 20 minutes to the point where it would be like an hour and a half. And I mean, just imagine doing that either solo where you're listening to a podcast or even doing it with your spouse. You'll never understand how valuable just that basic walking time early in the morning or even in the evening is so valuable, because women always women want quality time. I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? Yes, the 5 love languages have their own different category, but at the end of the day, if you're not spending time with your lady, if you're not spending time with your queen, your woman, if all that love language truly means nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you only learn based upon that communication in that time. So walking for me with my pops helped me better understand, you know, how valuable relationships are, not only with family, but also with your spouses as well.
Right.
So that's definitely something from a basic exercise regimen I'm definitely going to inject into my, you know, day-to-day and future, you know, relationship to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, what's your thoughts on walking, or are you a runner? You know what I mean?
I'm a consistent runner right now as it is, you know. I like to get out there and run because actually running, for me, is my meditation as well. So I like to get out there and just put my headphones in, get out there and just run. And once I get to running, everything else all the problems just goes away because I'm just focused on breathing and getting to where I need to go and not worrying. No worries. That's what I like to have. That's a good meditation. You're not worried about anything, just free your mind when you're going. So me having a spouse or a significant other or somebody else that would like to come with me, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you know also both of y'all want to be healthy, you know, because you're going out there trying to do certain things to make sure your health is up, like exercising and whatnot. So
and you're a chef too, so you know you have to make sure that food is prepared right and
exactly,
you know,
exactly
in this day and age, right?
Yes. I am a critic, you know. I like to critique a lot of people. Like, you know, we went out to have dinner. I had to critique a couple things. It was good, but you know.
Sure, of course. That's what you're good at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they critique us, especially how we dress and stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, it's just interesting how there's value in, you know, positive criticism or constructive criticism, because I think that's something that, you know, we as men, I'm gonna say it, we as men, we're not shy, but we're afraid to provide constructive criticism to our ladies, not because we know it's right, but we know that women are sensitive beings. They're emotional creatures. I don't care if you're an alpha woman or a beta woman. Any kind of criticism or any kind of representation that they may not feel is correct about themselves, but it's an actuality of what we see from outside, we often walk on eggshells, letting the lady know, like, I'm not feeling that at all. You know, but yet, and the irony is, if they see it on social media or they see it in the realm of entertainment, it's a different story. So one thing I've been thinking about, and I had to write it down, I have to ask us this. How dangerous is fame to a relationship?
Ooh. Well, Chef has dated a lot of famous women, so let's toss that.
Alley-oop. I'm doing the D-Wade. Go ahead.
Right. Talk to her, Chef. Break it down.
Fame. Fame is very dangerous. I should say it is, because I've always, me personally, I never been a person that wanted the fame. Like, you have the choice. Do you want the fame? And you know what I'm saying? Or you just want the money. You know what I'm saying? Me, I'll always be the person, be like, I just want the money.
Right.
You know, I don't want all the fame, because as soon as you get the fame, then you have the problems. Everybody knows who you are. So everybody knows who you are. Like all the actors, celebrities right now, they have women, the men, they have women thrown at them all the time. And as a man, how do you fight that, man?
Wow.
Like, you know, we can say a lot of different things on how to act and what we should be and how to be, but instinct is, there's a lot of men out here, you know, we're out here to breed, have sex, you know what I'm saying? So, and the physical is always going to be there, especially when you become famous and you have so much a vast variety of different coming at you. So and a lot of famous people, a lot of famous men, especially at a younger age, young men coming into that, being famous and having money. It's like, well, let me go ahead and take the smorgasbord. You know, but
fair. Right.
But that's what it is for a lot of men, and it is what it is. So it really is not good to be in a relationship when you're famous until you really want to start to tone down and know who you are at that time. Become older. You know, even the older men right now in the famous, it's still hard for a lot of them to not even go out,
right?
Because it's just too much. The temptation is so great. It's unbelievable. For us, it's different.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to see one that you think is the most beautiful woman in the world. You go into, I'll say you say in Tanzania, Africa or something, and the next thing you know, you travel over to another country. Like, dang, she's finer than me, and she likes me too. Oh yeah, you know.
Brazil or something like that.
Exactly, and you know, so it's hard to handle as for a famous person, and I would never choose fame. I would never choose fame.
What about IG fame?
Same thing.
Same thing.
IG fame gets you you're in more trouble. IG fame. But okay. So because I have a friend that has a person, they're married to a man that's has a lot of followers on IG.
Fair.
And you know, this person, I'm wondering, we all wonder, why does she stay? Because he cannot help it. Can't help it. It's just too much, too many. And then the women are asking, does he just have a problem? Is there a problem? Why can't he stop? I mean, once you become to a certain status and you have all this variety, I don't know what it is in certain men, but how can they stop?
Wow.
Jeez. What about TikTok? Does it
TikTok
fame, Snapchat? I mean, Facebook.
It's hard. You just have to know who you are. You gotta know your mind. You gotta know. I mean, like
and that's
you said,
both men and
both men and women. And it depends on what kind of relationship you agree to have with your spouse or your significant other, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
You got to have some kind of agreement, especially if you get to a famous part and you're like, hey, look, it's just, if you agree, we can have an open relationship, you can do what you can do, and I can do what I can do, then we probably come together, be at a point where there's no problems.
But you know, man, there's some women or men who don't have a problem with their significant other that may have a lot of fame. They work it out, they balance out their relationship. So I wonder if the real issue is when fame gets in the way of the relationship, where attention is taken away from that other person. So that person is so busy, right? They're working a lot, filming, or they're just doing a lot of celebrity type stuff, regardless of what level it is. So I wonder if it's more so, not that I have a problem with your fame, but I have a problem with the lack of attention that you're giving me in the relationship, because your fame is taking you away, whether it's you got women around you, your significant other is competing for your attention. Wow. So it's like, okay, for example, I know some famous people, went to school with some famous people, and I can almost imagine for years this guy never got married, had kids, but just never got married. And if I call his name out, you're going to know exactly who it is. And you're going to be like, dang, well, that person, obviously probably have women all kind of throwing all kind of stuff at him, right? Because of his fame and what he's done. But he finally decided to settle down. Okay. So it's like, okay, why did he settle down? It could have been, well, for a number of reasons. But it makes me wonder, okay, that the women who decide to hook up with him in terms of being in a serious relationship, what do they feel like they're competing against? Or it could be a man, right? Whose woman is real famous. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Whether it's famous on TV or famous just whatever in sports and whatnot, is it really a competing of attention? that people can't handle.
That's interesting you say that, because I truly believe that women don't give themselves credit for how competitive they really are. And I think the reason why they don't credit themselves their competitiveness is because it takes away from the facade of being immaculately invincible.
Right.
In other words, it's the idea that you're flawless. It's like that Holy Mother Mary type of idea where you cannot be sinless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't be flawed. And women are very competitive, especially when it comes down to a man. I mean, it's even identified in nature. I mean, female lions are the ones that are the true predators.
Right.
Like, they are the ones that are the true predators, not even the male lions.
Right.
You know what I mean? So through nature, it displays the more, I would say, aggressive and defensive at the same exact time type of mentality. And I do agree with you that in that realm of social media, why they choose to pursue men that have those types of social media oriented fame, or even financial fame, is because it gives them that bragging rights of, I've competed and I've outdone you all.
I have his attention.
Exactly. And if I have his attention, I am the championship.
Right.
So I have that.
Right.
But like you said, it won't get up there.
Yeah, they not.
Right.
Come on, man.
So you're talking about nature. The female peacock. The female peacock.
Subconscious.
She's adorned with this beauty, and she prances around to get the male peacock's attention.
Right.
Right. That's nature. So I like what you're saying. That whole competitive thing is not with a lot of women, but there are. I mean, every woman, but there are a lot of women that compete.
Yeah.
And so you see it play out in IG. You see it on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know who can do the Megan Stallion drop,
stop, drop, and roll.
Exactly.
Wop. Wop. You got the best wop.
Exactly. No, you spot on right, because even when it comes down to, yes, I'm gonna be that guy who says it, and I'll take the shots. Even when it comes down to the realm of makeup, I do not care if you try to provide me with a variety of different synonyms for putting on makeup. Don't tell me it's facial art, okay? It's makeup. If you knew the origin... See, here's the funny thing. I think a lot of people don't understand the history of certain things, which is why they do it They do it recklessly, not even vicariously. The history of makeup comes from back in the days during the, even way before then, where it used to be a form of camouflage, where it was a camouflage. It was used for camouflage to, blend in with nature, specifically for war. So that's where you have from the African tribes, where they have those different makeups, tribal makeup and all of that. So they did that. And it became not necessarily a thing of beauty, but it was a thing of preparation of war. Hence why military always has the camo, hence camouflage.
Right.
It transitioned over into the European history, where the queens and the women were actually being abused by their kings and their fathers because they weren't obeying them.
Right.
So when they were carrying these bruises and unfortunate scars and so on and so forth, they would cover it with makeup, hence the term make up for the beauty that was destroyed. So when we as men always prefer women with natural beauty, and like, oh my God, thank you, but I need it.
Right.
If it's for the eyebrows, I get it. I'm not hating. I understand that's a feature that is blessed to us.
Right.
But, little bit sprinkled to the women. I get it, the eyebrow thing. But when it comes down to the makeup situation, though, where your self-esteem is dependent on an image that is falsely portraying what you want to be rather than who you really are, it makes it very challenging for us men to really not necessarily take you seriously, but accept you for who you are.
Right.
I don't want to be placed in a situation let me not say purposely. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm blessed and privileged to go to sleep with you, but wake up to a different person.
Right.
That's scary. and my washer and dryer can only handle so much makeup on them sheets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can give you the Egyptian silk for the hair,
Right.
but for the face though, please help me, help you, help us. You know what I'm saying?
What I've seen on social media now, and when they say from that transformation, and I see that can't be the same person. Nowadays it's scary.
It's
concerning.
It's concerning, man. It's concerning because again, to me, this is where I get I pull this support as another reason why they're very competitive because I've been in relationships where I've told my woman that she's beautiful without makeup, and it's a fact.
Right.
And she'll still throw on makeup. I'm not talking about just the eyebrows or the eyeliner. I'm talking about get the powder ready, flat, boom. Ready to go in some sweatpants and sweatshirt. And it's like, but if you could go outside with sweatpants, sweatshirt, and go to Walmart or Walgreens or Kroger or wherever, but you need to get your face dolled up respectfully. If we're in a relationship, who are you really trying to impress? It's not a self-esteem issue or an issue where I'm jealous or anything like that. It's just more so, if you love me and you take my word genuinely and you take it as something that's valuable to you, why would you stray away from it? And I think they stray away from it because they subconsciously they're competing against another woman outside that I may assumably find more attractive than them because they have it.
A lot of times it is like that. Because a lot of times you have to understand when we do see a lot of men, when we see these on a magazine or out there, we can be just like walking through here. You see a girl with her face beat, hair done, looking, you be like, damn.
So very normal.
You know what I'm saying? But, so if you got somebody, they can see that, then they're like, oh, let me try to, try to get like that or whatnot. Because it's not just what you look at, because they notice that you notice, but they also notice that all the men around are noticing. So
the whole competition thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's competitive. They're very competitive, and it's cool. But it's just one of those things where it bothers me because we want to encourage, we want to support, we want to uplift our black women, we want to uplift our women in general. But if we're being supportive of the organic, authentic version of you, and you're not accepting it, I wonder from a woman's point of view, what is it that you need from us to reassure that what we're saying to you is what we love? Not what we like, what we love.
It's nothing that we can do.
You say it's all on them. They got to figure it out.
For the love within themselves, to know that they look beautiful and very attractive to their man, and know that they don't need that. You know what I'm saying? They don't need the makeup, and know that they love themselves as much. If they know they love themselves that much, and a man says they love them, then already they'll understand. Okay. I don't. But they have to love themselves. If they're not loving themselves as much, how can you understand how much your man loves you?
And dude, on top of that, I think a lot of women focus on the wrong thing to try to be attractive. And they focus so much on, like you say, beating the face and getting the hair. I mean, you don't need what you see someone else in celebrity status have, right?
Fame,
So it's like the thing that you're trying to attract, you think you need to show more breasts, more cleavage, you think you now need to show more just everything. And you could do that, but you're going to attract the wrong attention, right? When I was in Miami growing up, right, I grew up in a place called, I was born over town and I grew up in a place called Liberty City, right? One of the two roughest areas in Miami. One of the things that turned me off for a period of time, and I can freely say this without offending black women or anything like that, is there was a time where middle school, you know, and going up into high school, you know, I was like, these are not the type of girls that I want to deal with. Not because they were black, but because the ones that I saw had all these colors in the hair. They were loud, popping their fingers, being disrespectful, and doing all this other stuff. So for me, it was like it was an unattractive thing. Certain clothes that they would be wearing. It's like, dude, everybody's not into that. You know what I'm saying?
Pause right there because I want you to continue. But women need to accept that this is not an indictment or this is not an attack on them, because whenever they hear us say that, they always say, "Oh, you don't like a strong black woman."
Yeah. Nah.
These are the examples that we say this is not for us, and you automatically get defensive and say, "Oh, you don't like a strong black woman." That doesn't signify being strong. Just because you're loud don't mean you're strong. The loudest person in the room is always the weakest. So
there's a change in the era. The era changed. It changed and hit the 70s. The 60s, when the civil rights times, like I said, the black people, we stuck together. We stuck in one community. People were acting like that, and until 70s hit, and all the everything with the FBI and everybody started messing with the homes. And then you start seeing around that time, all that's changed. Different color hair. You know, we both from Miami. So, you know, I know exactly what you're talking about. But see, I want to ask you real quick, were you exposed to anything else besides that, before that? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you saw something different as well. You know?
Man, when I went to go ahead.
No,
when I went to high school, I was telling a close friend this the other day. When I went to high school, I was exposed to more Spanish women, more Spanish girls.
Exposed. The key word is he was exposed. Not he was drawn into.
Exactly.
Respectful.
So I, you know, started seeing more Hispanic girls, but I was still living in the hood. So while I'm in the hood, I get, you know, the dirty looks, the popping of the fingers, the snapping and the disrespect. But when I go to school, a Spanish girl back then, as soon as she meets you by culture, she's giving you a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And just welcome you, giving you a big hug. And I'm like, damn, I didn't. It's totally different. Right? And that was just a cultural thing. And it may not have been anything sexual. It's just like, oh, okay. You know, and what helped too, because Boys and Men was hot back then. I could dance. You know.
Oh, he was on talent show. He was on talent show.
Talent show.
And I won a couple of them too.
Talent show. Okay.
So the point was, the stuff that some of these girls that I grew up around, they were trying to put on certain clothes and revealing so much, thinking that, oh, that's going to attract every person. And I'm like, that was a turnoff for me, right? Because the way how I grew up, you know, with my mom and dad. My mom was always a respectful, strong Jamaican woman, right? She always say, hey, you know, be mindful of the girls that you're around. So I always respected what my mom and dad always said. You know what I mean? So on the flip side, I would see the more Spanish girls with just natural, not a whole bunch of makeup, not a whole bunch of what's his name. So for a time, I was like, okay, that's what I kind of messed around with. You know what I mean? Until, you know, it's like, okay, you move to Atlanta and you see, wow, okay, in Atlanta, not everybody's wearing the purple hair and the blue hair. And that's not taken away from people who want to do that. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. But you don't have to do those things to attract a real man who's going to love you. You know, it kind of goes back to the whole beauty thing.
No, and you're absolutely right, Oscar, because one of the key things that is a misconception is if we follow the crowd, we'll get what we deserve, because the crowd is pulling it in. And you know, I'm that a-hole that says, because I know my height, right? So I'm a strong 5'6.5". I earned my half recently. Thank you. Shout out to God, G-O-D all day. But one of the key situations that I get is, oh, well, you know, you're cute, you're handsome, but you're too short. And I'll say that's perfectly fine. But what's your success rate with men that have been taller than me?
Right. 0 for 26.
And stage left. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
that's
right.
my thing. Now, yeah, that may be a slick statement, but it's something that they have to pay attention to because there's a difference between standards and preferences. There's
Right.
and there's a misunderstanding with preferences with standards. Now, we obviously remember we have standards because they're usually established by either how we were raised or whom raised us, or how we were raised or who raised us. Our preferences are often based upon what we are visually interested in. And that's throughout history. That's just how we operate in general. I mean, nobody's going to purposely go after a busted up car, even though there's great mileage on it. Like that's nobody does that. But, it takes time. And I agree with you, man, with just the preference of the type.
Right.
And I think, that's something that as a recommendation to women is to actually sit back and just do a self-evaluation of what do I need versus what am I desiring?
Right.
Because you can technically get both worlds, but you can't put what I desire before what I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the idea of we had a conversation about finances where if you spend more than what you bring in, that's not going to help you in the long run.
Right.
And it's the same exact thing with individuals as well. Which is why I brought up the concept of, how dangerous is fame, from as big fame as it could be, because we know names that are, one recently got a divorce after, her and her husband were pursuing a baseball team and ended up not being able to buy it. I'm not saying that's the reason, but they're no longer together.
Right.
We've seen other big name individuals who either have separated, and we see that a lot with Hollywood.
Right.
Nonstop. So that fame aspect. But then now when we look at social media with even some of the artists, music artists, entertainers, even simple individuals, everything is displayed and everything is presented. So that's why I always wonder, is it even worth trying to be Insta famous?
No, you don't need. I don't think so. Especially, you just reminded me. You just speaking about it. That crazy fool Jackson, man. What's his name? Derek Jackson.
Yeah, something like that.
Jackson.
Something like
he changed his name Jackson, whatever.
Jackson.
Man, that just.
He went. That's a prime example.
He went and got Instagram famous, YouTube famous, Facebook
whatever.
All the women I'm looking. I didn't know anything about him until all this started happening.
Right.
And then I got a couple friends hit me, send me some stuff, and I see women come and say, "I used to masturbate listening to him because the things that he used to say, and he out there
lollygagging and gagging."
And, because he got famous from all the stuff that he was saying. That's why okay, let me keep on going so I can get more famous. Just keep on going out here. Just too much. Like I said, it's a smorgasbord for him, man. So, like.
Yeah, but I think about what you were just saying and what you're saying about the whole fame. I think fame and popularity is just really an amplifier.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that, possibly wasn't that, he just started wilding out once he got famous. Nah, it just created more opportunities for doing something that was already doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, fame, wealth, if mishandled, is really just going to amplify. If you're a good dude or a good woman, and you got yourself together, fame or the lack thereof shouldn't change your character.
Facts.
Those things will just amplify. Just like if we turn on the light in the room, the light didn't add more things to the room. It just shows you and reveal what was already there.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
So, fame, I think, really can be dangerous if it's mishandled.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody who's famous goes out and step out.
That's true.
Not everybody.
That's true.
There may be more opportunities.
Right.
But some men, some women decide, hey, no, I'm going to be faithful to, who I'm with. Or if you're single and you have kids, and you're famous, hey, I'm still going to be faithful to my family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to take trips to Puerto Rico and leave my kids you know, just with anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right. No, that's a fair point. And to pivot off of that, you know, with fame usually comes hard work. Right. Because, I mean, you're doing something consistently to where it's being amplified and being presented to the world. So this is something that I know we as men cope with quite a lot.
Sure.
How much work is too much work when you're in a relationship?
Yeah.
How much work is too much work in a relationship? Because I've been in a situation where I was working at a hotel as a front desk agent, and then I was also working overnight shift security at another hotel and working at Aldo's. Now, mind you, this was back in Daytona days, back in Daytona days. So I was working at those 3 areas because I needed to pay my rent and I needed to be able to afford a way of living.
Of course.
So, yeah, grinding. And still going to school at the same exact time and being in a committed relationship. Loved the girl to death. But that was one of her major concerns, which she pretty much used that as a catalyst to, you know, cheat. Fair enough, whatever. But that was one of her main issues was you're working too much, you don't create any time for me, whoop-de-whoop. Now, mind you, the time that I would create for her, she would just want to come over and just chill out, lay in the bed and shag. You know what I mean? So, and it's like, okay, that's great, but there has to be more than just shagging. You know what I mean? There has to be more than that. Can we go places and grab something to eat, or even let's be nerds. Let's go to the library and do homework together and talk it through and be study buddy. And that's from a college standpoint. So to fast forward the age of life, you know, as men, now that we're, you know, well, most of us out of school, I'm stuck. I'm stuck getting my EMBA. But how much work is too much work? From a man's perspective first, because it's a 2-part question.
It depends.
Because our situations vary.
Yes, in different situations, like you said.
Yeah.
And I've heard, just me listening to different lecturers and stuff like that, different, you know what I'm saying, older black men. And I've heard that a black man, a meaning of black man, or just being a man, that you shouldn't be in a serious relationship until you're at a certain degree. You need to be at a certain status before you go into a serious relationship.
Okay.
And I listened to it, and one of the things he was saying, you know, you need to have established occupation, steady income. You have to own something, like some kind of property, as well. And you have to have a savings bank account to at least any type of emergency. You should have at least some $10,000 in bank account or something or more, actually.
Okay.
And from those statuses, I mean, those are some of the things that he said. And if you think about it, it makes sense, as you know, because that's when you're a man, you're able to take care. So when that woman does come bring something to the table, you definitely have everything already set before that woman comes to the table. So when that woman comes to the table now, you have what you need, and you really have the time in order to give that woman that she needs, so you're not at a place where you're working too hard.
Fair.
But I do understand the other aspect too.
You're
working hard,
and
you still want a woman, you know. So, but they have to have that time, and it still has to be an understanding, because a man can't be everything to a woman until he is fulfilled. Until he is completely fulfilled, that woman will not get that attention. And that's what it is. That might not have been said, but in a man's mind that is driven to his goal, till he gets to that goal, it won't give everything.
I gotta do that. What's your take? This is
how much work is too much work? You know, they say balance is the key to life. So one man's balance may be another man's burden. Right?
Facts.
So while I like what the older gentleman was breaking down, because that's like, yeah, you know what? Emergency fund, regardless of what the amount is, you should have an emergency fund. Right. You should have stable employment. Just as a man, not to do it in pursuit of a relationship, but just as a human being. We were designed to work and to produce, you know what I mean, to cultivate. Right. You know, so the strength of a man is important. That's a tough question, man. How much work is too much work? Because a man can have one job and his woman feels like, well, you're working too much. He could be a CEO and say, well, you know, I just want more time. So again, it goes back to competing for the attention, right, and the time. Sometimes the guy may just be working a regular 8 to 5, you know, 5-day-a-week job, right, but she feels like, you know, I want to still have more time with you. Even though you go out on the weekend, you spend time, you come home. It's more so with some women, not a lot of women, but some women, it's like they find validation in your time. So if you're in your man cave watching sports for an hour and a half, some women may have a challenge with that. Yeah. So is it really the issue of working too hard, or you're not giving me enough attention and time? Because let's flip it around. What if the woman is the career woman? Right. Right. You know, is it still the same application for a woman? You know, she's working hard. Right. Well, hey, you know what? You're not giving me a lot of attention. Right. There may not be that intimacy like it was before. So I think it really goes back to what is that you're really lacking? Yeah. You know, for women, we know one of the number one needs is security. Correct. So that attention ties into that security. So if you're not giving me the time of day, then I'm start questioning, you know, do you love me? Right. You get those type of questions. You know, why are you always at work? What do you mean we gotta pay bills? A man that doesn't work doesn't eat. Facts.
That's the problem that we come to in today's society right now, especially in this era. It's a lot of men that's considered good men out here working a lot, they have that problem. Right. You know, we need to spend more time, we're doing it, but man, if I don't work, we don't eat.
Right. And the balance is too, you know, guys have to look at, okay, if you're working so hard where you come in late, home late every night, the kids are asleep, your wife is asleep, you're having to reheat your food, you're not spending quality time with your kids, then that's an imbalance. It goes back to what I was saying. You got to have proper balance. So it's not, you know, the woman's fault of saying, you know, how come you're not spending enough time? It could be, yeah, you're working too much, and too much is not necessarily hours, but if you're not giving a proper balance of time to your significant others, to your kids, you could be a single father, right? Is working too hard where you're not going to games, you're not going to performances, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's where you have to really do that self-inventory. I had to do that, you know, in my previous marriage, you know, full disclosure. I had to take an inventory of my life. I put my name on the board, and I drew a circle around my name. And I did these little lines of everything that I was involved in. Businesses, friendships, work, and XYZ. And I had to realize that my previous wife was competing with a lot of those different things for my attention. And that's full disclosure. Wow. You know, work, traveling a lot. So then after I literally got on a whiteboard and I did that. It was an exercise for me because I'm very visual. And I had to be honest and find where's my life in balance, because I was stressed out a lot, not eating well because I'm always on the go. Yep. Right? And it was a wake-up call. My son had his first football game, you know, on a Saturday. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'll never forget it. It was Cleveland, Ohio, on a business trip. And I felt so bad because I had been to all of his practices. But his first game, I was not there. I could have controlled my own schedule and flew out after his game, but I felt like I needed my job needed me. I
Right.
had to fly out at this time. But no, the person who needed me the most was my son. And I remember writing him a letter while I was in the hotel, and I said I would never let that happen again.
Wow.
And he didn't do so well in the game. Why? Because Daddy, the strong rock, wasn't there for that first game. And from that point, I never missed another game.
You had to take that experience in order for you to get to that point. So everything does happen for a reason.
Right.
Wow, that's powerful right there, because I agree with you that sometimes we don't pay attention to the missed opportunities until they're officially missed.
Right.
And then we find out how valuable and meaningful they are because they're staples in those who've hurt. It's a staple in their mind for a good period of time. And I've been told that if you leave a bad stain in somebody's memory, it's extremely hard to remove that stain, no matter how often you try to, clean up after it. So that's really valuable information to know, because I think that, and it's tough because as the men, you have to be the provider and you have to be the protection.
Right.
And it's extremely challenging to balance the two, especially if you are, let's say, the predominant one working. And, it's extremely challenging to make that sacrifice. Or if you do make that sacrifice, you're putting the livelihood of everybody that you're taking care of at risk. And I think sometimes that concept is not really communicated with both parties. I don't think that part is really communicated with both parties, because if it ever gets to that situation, I don't know what the right answer is.
Right.
But I do know that the best answer is to communicate with each other and have that conversation.
Right.
Because that's the only way where you could get to some kind of resolution, to where if you are unable to make it because of the mandatory requirement of being there,
right,
at least that communication is made clear and everybody's a part of it, and then you're able to make up for it, as long as it doesn't become a habit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you make that sacrifice and that whole livelihood aspect is lost, then you're having a total different conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're having a completely total different conversation. Let me flip it.
Sure.
What recommendations would you give to women who are in these situations where they are involved with a man who is working hard, faithfully,
right,
loyal in a relationship,
right,
not sipping and dipping, you know what I mean,
whining and grinding,
whining and grinding. Right. What recommendations would you give to those women who have those men that are working extremely hard, trying their best to provide for the family?
I'll say, first find out if the man is happy working at that situation. Find out, is that the place that he wants to be?
Right.
And is he happy there or not? Because once you find that out, if he's not happy in that situation, then that means you all come together and find a place, a medium where both of y'all can work together and try to get another business, start your own something, or come to agreement where both of y'all pursue something that you both love to do.
Right.
Because that's what you're here for in life anyway. You're supposed to be here to do what you love and make people happy. Because if you're making people happy doing what you love, then you're going to make money having no problems.
Right.
Interesting.
So if that woman sees that, she can bring everything she has to come, like I said, come to the man and be like, let's work together. We work together, we open up a lot of doors.
Right.
Yeah.
So now these doors are open. I got this this is my talent, this is your talent. let's go ahead and we can do what we want. We have a much time together now because we're working together.
Right.
So now all of our time is together, baby, and we can do what we need to do.
Right.
And the kids are right here, and we have the children, and we're going to add them on too as well. So now all of us work together as one.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. You know, a lot of cultures actually do that. Right. A lot of cultures do that. I have a very good close friend of mine. He's Indian, and he's part of his family. He does his business working for XY company. Yeah. But he's a part of that family business as well. So it's one of those legacy businesses where both parents partake and they pass it down, but still allow that child to still venture off education-wise and do their own thing, but also still be able to provide some helpful insight and support in that business. So that's a brilliant move. We need to do that, especially as a culture. Start passing down legacies and legacy opportunities to our children.
Right. I like that. I would say some advice to women. And this is probably going to sound kind of lame, but take on or understand the farmer's wife mentality. What I mean by that. So forget about today's advancement in technology and industry and buildings and people going to work in the high-rise CEO building. Remember, there was a time where the farmer, he didn't have to go 20, 30 miles away to work. He was just working right outside on the family farm. The wife understood that. The daughters understood that. The sons even understood that. When the sons became of age, they would go out and start helping dad till the ground. So the men went out to go cultivate, harvest, and do whatever they need to do outside. The men worked hard, sun up to sundown. Hands bloody. But the woman took the time to understand that this is a necessary thing for the man to do and the son to do. They took time to understand, kind of going back to what you guys are saying, is having that conversation. Let's bring it to today. Okay, I see you're going out and you're in pursuit of this career or this education piece, this degree. Don't fault me for my hard work. Sun up to sundown.
I agree.
Because my thing is, I want to make sure that the house is taken care of. So the role, we talked about gender roles some time ago, even with the finance piece, the woman understanding that, hey, I'm here to support my man. She may also have a career because she would want him to support her in her career and in her endeavor. So again, the farmer's wife takes the time to understand the role of the husband, his hard work. He's not out there really because he's trying to work sun up to sundown, but we have a certain lifestyle. A man wants to provide security to his woman, to his children. So my advice again goes back to, don't assume that the man is working hard because he doesn't want to give you attention, because he doesn't love you, because he wants to be out there with other women. No, not necessarily. There's a lot of good dudes out here, that are grinding hard because we want to feel good about ourselves, that we're active, that we're grinding.
An accomplishment.
We have an accomplishment so that when we go out and till the ground, we can bring in the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, the corn, the stuff that you like to eat anyway. And guess who benefits? The entire household.
Exactly.
But guess what happens in times of war? War is dangerous against families. Because guess who has to go to war? The men and the boys. So bring it full circle. If we're at war in our relationships, guess who's taken out of the picture?
Exactly. Damn. But that's what we have right now.
Right.
That's why that goes into another. I was speaking to a couple of my friends, female friends. You have to think about the era now. we do things, like I said, we do things for the women.
Right.
And we do, what the women like, that's what men do. Because like you said, they go prancing, we gotta be it's in the nature.
Yeah.
Right.
Buffers, whatever the woman likes, that's what we do.
Right.
So now you have the new era, and the women complain about how the men are more beta males and more of this going on,
Right.
not doing this. But we have, in the black community, our households are separated. We have more women raising these boys.
Wow.
So now a lot of men are getting blamed for being at this beta male state, but were raised by the woman, the single woman.
Right.
So it's kind of hard. I'm not trying to put all the blame on the women. Don't think that.
No,
of course not. But we have to realize that that's where it is deriving from.
Right.
And if the woman is allowing that beta male, and that's who you're attracted to, and then you're raising another one like that and getting mad that they're like this, and this is what's out here, where do you break that cycle?
Right.
Wow. Man, I read this book. I think I mentioned it to you guys the first episode that we had, or our first get together on Zoom. There's a book that I highly recommend people read. It's called The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. In it, and this is not to cast blame or to make excuses, but there's a section in there where she talks about the trauma against the black family, right? And how slavery created these traumatic experiences, and that the black culture as a whole, we're here in the U.S. and some parts of the West Indies, where we really never recovered fully. For example, the nature of humans is not to be bound and to be chained, right?
Right.
It's to be free.
Right.
Correct.
So typically, who was the one that was running a lot? The black male, right? Because he wants to go find freedom.
Correct.
So guess what? He would be captured, brought back, and made an example. So they would take the biggest, strongest black man, the hardest worker,
Right.
and make an example out of him in front of his whom? His wife and his kids.
Buck breaking.
Family buck
Right.
breaking. Yep.
Buck breaking. So now imagine generation after generation, just during that slavery era, plantation after plantation, seeing that mentality carried out.
History repeats
Right.
itself.
So it's like you remove the black man from the picture or make an example out of him, your biggest, strongest one on purpose. He would get sodomized, he would get raped in front of everybody.
Yep.
Genitals taken off.
Right? Castrated on purpose to show an example to his sons. So guess what? The mother would be like, son, don't be aggressive like you saw what happened to your dad.
Right.
Don't speak out. Don't run. Don't fight for
That
your
is
freedom.
crazy.
Right.
So
That is
then guess
crazy.
what? Now the single woman is there, husband has been murdered, having to raise their sons. And guess what? The daughters are seeing mom being strong. Brother, be weak, be quiet, or be timid, be meek, right? Because I don't want what happened to your dad to happen to you. So that psychological thing just kind of kept playing on and playing on.
It continues.
And it continues.
Even present day.
Right.
Even present day.
So
Right.
now, like I said, now the women are angry that they have these men
Right.
that they raised.
Right.
Man, I have another question, but
Go ahead, shoot it,
no,
shoot it.
I cannot. We're gonna have to save that for
Yeah.
round number 2. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure and a privilege. I think we definitely hit it right on the nail. And I hope there was a lot of valuable learned lessons that, our viewers can really take in, both male and female, and see that a lot of the issues come from miscommunication.
Right.
Miscommunication, misunderstanding, and lack of education. And the lack of education is really chosen lack of education, not really naturalized lack of education.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's about accountability. So yeah, man, I appreciate you gentlemen for this wonderful opportunity with the men's panel at Man Cave, obviously undisclosed location.
That's right.
You never know where we're going to be, but it's always going to be nice, high, and fly.
Right.
So,
you think we lost some women today?
If we lost any women, then that means that
they're lost.
Right.
Listen.
If you didn't hear the heartbeat behind what was being said.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Because at the end of the day, man, it's communication is very, very key. You want to be heard. You want to be heard. Fair enough, but you have to be understood. Being understood is way more important than just being heard.
Right.
And we need to really improve on being understood rather than being heard. There was a famous quote that I remember hearing from a pastor one day, and I'm not a religious person, but he said, people want to be seen and known rather than to see and know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time for us.
Right.
I think it's time for us to really see and know rather than focus on being seen and known.
Right.
So,
what's that thing that we normally do at the end of the session? What was it called?
I think it's solutions.
Yeah, solution time. Or
solution
like
time. Yeah. Hit us with a quick solution time. Hit us with a quickie.
We kind of did a little bit of it with advice, but kind of closing out.
Yeah, close out real briefly.
Cook it up for us, yeah.
Yeah, man. Cook it up.
Solution.
Dessert.
Hey,
Dessert.
Solution,
It's dessert right now.
Yeah, okay.
It's dessert.
So mine always falls back into the same, really, before you get into a relationship, you have to know yourself. That includes loving yourself. Mm-hmm. Loving yourself is the key.
Right.
As soon as you find out how much you are worth, your doors are wide open.
Wow.
Just say that.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. Go ahead, leave.
Solution. Really is more of a summary of everything that we already talked about. Don't compete in an arena where you really don't have to compete.
Right.
Don't look at your favorite celebrities and think that that's a reality. That's just what people show you.
Right.
Exactly. Again, like Chef said, love yourself, learn to love yourself. Don't judge your current relationships or your future relationships based on what happened in the past or some idea of what you think relationships are supposed to be. And I'll share this one thing right here. I noticed this earlier. Time beautifully filled. Right? I noticed that earlier. Again, time beautifully filled. What are you doing with your time? How are you filling your time? If you're trying to get into a relationship, get into it for the right reasons. Don't beautify yourself. Don't spend your time beautifying yourself with makeup to impress anybody. Because you're just going to be disappointed when you don't get 1,000 likes.
Right.
So spend your time wisely. Fill it with positive things and keep it moving.
Facts. You guys said it all. You guys said it all. If I had any solution, it would be, women, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong.
Right.
It's okay to be wrong.
And you're right about that. Go ahead.
It's okay to be wrong, and you're right. It's okay to be wrong. But it's not okay to continuously live wrongly. If women are smarter than men, validate it. And I'm not saying prove it to me, but prove it to yourself.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you know what success is and you've seen it, what's wrong? It's okay to be wrong, but what's wrong with being the best version of yourself? It's as simple as that.
Nice.
We're gonna cap out. We're gonna close out, man.
Closing it out.
Yeah, we in the man cave. You know what I mean? We want the swag out. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be with the brothers, the kings. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Already.
Melanin all day, every day.
Right.
Tune in to the ladies. The ladies will be having their panel as well.
Yeah, they gonna come for us.
Of course. But of course.
Bring it.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be them. Why? Because they're competitive. They're competitive. So we watching. We rage.
See you.
Take care, ladies. Take care, gentlemen. We'll see y'all. Hey. And he's watching his Lumber Street, so it's okay. We talked about health. So, yeah.